We've come to realize that we need to embrace the craziness of life. Um, we had this weekend. We had a 4-day weekend, and my brother and his two youngest and my sister-in-law, they came down to visit, and um, we had a major winter storm come upon us, and we lost power for 12 hours. We had broken pipes and no water. And my brother kept saying over and over again, kept apologizing. I'm so sorry, that we're here during this stressful time. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's great having you here. It's great having, two more adults to help out and to have cousins to keep the younger kids, to keep them occupied. And it's just been it was so great. And I started thinking about the memories the kids will have of playing cards in front of the fireplace and bundling up and just how they will have a better memory of this than they would have had it just been a pretty ordinary weekend. And I just started thinking about preparing and as I prepared for them to come and visit, we knew a storm was coming. I'd been through an ice storm before up in the Northwest, and I remember that everything was shut down for days. You couldn't go anywhere. And so I knew this from experience that we had to pretty much plan on the fact that we weren't going to be able to go anywhere, for a couple of days. And so I prepared for that. And it just got me thinking with everything that's going on, because as people, 2020 was so horrible, and we had COVID, and that happened, and you see in the text, like, oh my goodness, this is just like that, it's like COVID again. And I started thinking about the scriptures, and I started about how in the last days that there's going to be commotion, and there's going to be, it's going to be, a hard time, and how we need to, be prepared for this, that there's going to be times when we can't rely on the government we just can't rely on huge, the safety nets we've always had before. That we need to be together as neighbors in our community and help one another and be prepared. It's fascinating how we keep having things happen that are we've never experienced before. We had a pandemic that we hadn't experienced in over 100 years. We just had a winter, storm that we hadn't had in like over 100 years. And maybe it's the cycle of things, but I do know what the scriptures say. And I do know that I trust in the Lord with all my heart. And as I had the people I was most in contact with all week and during all of this were my neighbors and friends in this area. And how when we had a pipe break, we had two neighbors over, or, two friends over almost instantly to help us. And how, we all are there for each other, and we're all there supporting each other. And get to know your neighbors, right? They've been saying that all during COVID, to get to know your neighbors. And I will say that when we were locked down and during that time, that we were out walking our neighborhoods a lot more than we ever have. And I did get to meet a lot of them that I hadn't met 5 years previously. And, but then it felt comfortable to check on them during this time and to see how they were doing. And I know some neighborhoods are great and they all know each other and they're all friends. And some aren't, some just aren't. But to be there together, that as communities, you see a lot more unity on smaller levels. And because that's what counts, right? I mean, I could have, my best friend or my family that's states away, they can't help me during a trial like this, during an ice storm. They can't help. But my neighbors, they're the ones who are there. And so as much as we love family and friends and those who we're connected with because of the internet, those from, other countries, our next door neighbors and those right next to us are the ones, that help during kind of these times, with these weird weather and checking in and doing those things. So just, you think back to how simple, the first commandment is to love the Lord God with all thy heart, might, and mind. And the second great commandment is to love thy neighbor as thyself. And we all change or put that in our mind how we want it. But right now, during this storm, it really, am I watching out for literally my neighbors and helping them? Because they may not have as strong of a network as I do close by. They may just have their actual neighbors to help them. So think about that. Be prepared. I think we're going to keep seeing these 100-year things happening again and again and again as we get closer. As we get closer to the second time. So have a wonderful, wonderful day.